Welcome to the Rap Soul Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of music that moves our hearts and gets our feet tapping. This is the intersection of rap and soul music from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. We appreciate you for listening. Share this podcast with a friend or family member who loves music as much as you do. The podcast is hosted by 12 Kyle. Next up, the Rap Soul Podcast.
Welcome to another edition of the Rap Soul Podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Again, this is the Rap Soul Podcast. This is the intersection where we have discussions about artists and music from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s when it comes to rap, soul music, hip hop, and R&B. Simply put, this is the best music podcast that you've never heard until right now. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. On this episode, we're going to do an album review. If you've been following me, you know that from time to time we will do album reviews, and I couldn't think of a better album that I had never reviewed up until this point. And got some family in the building. This guy who's coming on this episode, if you follow the podcast, you know he is simply put a not just a fan, but he knows his hip hop. He not only has two hip hop podcast called the Eclectic Discussion Podcast, as well as the Encyclopedia Hip Hop Podcast, and then the Eclectic Discussion Podcast. Got them confused there for a second. But not only that, man, good friend of the show, coming into the podcast for the first time on the Rap Soul Podcast. So I got to give him a proper introduction. He's hellified hotter than heat. Guess what the other cats can't eat, because he's a carnivore and he can eat much more than a fat man at a pack jam. None other than my boy Eclectic is in the building. E, what up, baby?
What's up, everybody? It's me, Eclectic, Cleck the Hammer Pot in Time, aka LL Cool Cleck, aka Cleck E Shore. We're in the building. I just got in. I'm in the Bristol. And it's nice up here. It's nice in this hotel. I'm on location.
So, man, I was going through just thinking about some things that we could talk about, but again, having you on the Rap Soul Podcast, which is something I told you that we were going to do. Just now getting around to it, but
wow.
I'm bringing back the usual suspects.
It's keeping me from you guys.
So here's the thing. We've talked about LL, but we never did an album review on LL's second album, Bad, aka Bigger and Deffer. This album was released May 29th, 1987. It was LL's second studio album. Before we get into the album, we'll talk about the album. We'll break down the tracks. We'll take a commercial break and the whole nine. But before we get into it, I think probably what people want to know is if we go back to 1987, again, LL's coming off the heels of his first album. There was talk as to whether or not there would be a sophomore jinx. What were your thoughts like the first couple of times you heard this album in 1987?
This is one of the pivotal moments in hip hop for me personally. LL's first album, Radio, was the first hip hop album that I purchased with my own money.
Okay.
LL Cool J has been my favorite, or one of my favorites, top three, not three, my entire life. And so this is what happened. This is 87. I'm relaxing in the living room, and I'm watching BT. And I'm watching, I want to say Video Soul. It could have been Video Vibrations, but I'm thinking it was Video Soul.
Okay.
And they said, after we come back, we have a new song by LL Cool J. and I almost shit my pants. I like what this is incredible, because let me tell you why this was important. And I'm not gonna filibuster too long because you got a whole show to do. But radio, he had no videos. The first album, he had no videos. If you didn't get Black Beat or one of the magazines, you didn't know what he looked like unless you saw Crush Groove.
Crush Groove, right?
You know, so you never saw him perform. And so when they said we're gonna have a new song, I'm like, well, that means a video. I ran to my room and got my box that had a microphone on it, so I could record the song. We didn't have a VCR. We were poor. We didn't have VCR. I couldn't record it. If I could have recorded the video, I would have been the hottest. I would have been the illest nigga in Nebraska.
Of course.
But so I ran and got my box because I had a microphone on it, and put it by the TV. And he came back, and they was like, "Yeah, this is LL," and there go Tasha putting up fucking signs on the. I'm like, oh my God. And so this is the first time I'm hearing Bad, and yes, what was like the first couple of times I heard this album. When I first heard this song, I thought that it was the greatest song I ever heard in my life. And it was not like anything in hip hop. And this is what I mean by that. The scratching on the hook on Bad, they didn't do that until then. His name over and over again, and he had two different DJs scratching.
Facts.
And nobody did the scratching like that. Go back to the songs before then. You had Marley scratch with the Molly, but that was about it. But this was just crazy. And so, and the best thing I could tell you is this is what happened. The next day, I had to go to school. And I could not talk about anything but this. And none of my friends saw it.
Oh, wow.
I was like, yo, it was like, what? I was like, it was called Bad, and he had Cut Creator and Kamikaze. They're like, what's a Kamikaze? I'm like, I don't know. I said, it did Tasha, and I was like, it was some Cool J cookies and jelly beans, and he ate jelly beans.
Yeah.
And you got to understand what it sounded like me telling people, like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, it was jelly beans and cookies and a shark's fin. And I was like, and I recorded it, but because it was a radio with a mic, it picks up everything that's going on. So if, I don't know, your mother comes in and tell you to take out the trash, it's Cool J, take out the trash. I'm like, oh shit. So I can't jam. I can't play it for nobody. And so, but anyway, I say all that to say, huge song. When I heard the album was crazy. The only thing about the album was because of the 9th track on that album, people didn't realize how dope it was because everybody played I Need Love. People played I Need Love like the Kendrick song.
Probably more.
Yeah. I mean, because it was on the radio, all the urban stations, all the pop stations on the radio. It wasn't just, hey, we're playing our tape. It was, you're going somewhere and it's on. And this was before you even did a video for it. It was crazy.
Yeah, man. I agree 1,000%. This one was, I don't even remember watching the video. I remember that being a discussion, like you said, once we got to school. But one of the things that actually stood out to me in purchasing because I bought the tape, was the first thing that you see is the album cover. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, Eclectic and I have talked ad nauseum about a lot of the album covers that we saw. And I think we may have even done a fantasy draft talking about album covers.
We did. I won.
whatever. So, but here's the thing: this album cover, man. What did you? This, in my opinion, this is one of the. I hate to use the word iconic, but this is one of the early iconic album covers that we got in hip hop. He's standing on I think it's a Benz.
Yeah.
He's got on Air Jordans, which weren't cheap at all, and he is standing there like a fly b-boy. What did you think about the album cover?
Now I'm gonna tell you this. Now
Okay.
this is two things. Thing one, I said it was the first. His first album, Radio, was the first one that I ever bought. And part of the reason why I bought that album was because of the cover. The cover was a big ass box, and then when you flip it over, he had on Jordans, and he brought Jordans to hip hop. By the way, everybody, he's the GOAT for multiple reasons, but he had the Jordans on his first album, and what is it? Was it 357? Cool sporting Air Jordans, and I'm off the. He's the first one to say he's rocking Air Jordans and a hip hop. Listen, I could go on and on why he's the GOAT, but anyway. But as far as this album cover, I thought on the cover that those were the Iceland troops. I thought those was the red, white, and black troops.
Okay.
So because he was also the only one that had his own troops. He had the LL Cool J troops.
He did.
And so, but the cover was crazy. He always has different type of covers. And they said last year he got that exact car restored. He has that car.
Wow.
And so when he did the video with Eminem, that's the actual car. When they redid the cover, that's the car. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing, man. That just takes me back because like this was an era, like you said, we really, because you got to remember, guys, kids, there was no internet. So Eclectic said he found it on TV as far as the video for Bad and I'm Bad. And then like for me, I remember going to buy the tape, and that's the first thing that I see. So this is when you see him standing on the hood of this car, this is the epitome of cool, at least. And no pun intended. I mean, like, he was cool. He was literally cool. And the thing about it was in 87, these were the people that we looked up to. And so when you saw an LL, or you saw Run DMC, or you saw Slick Rick, or you saw guys like Eric B. and Rakim with the fat dookie rope chains, this was like status symbols. And I'm glad you brought up Jordans, because you're right. At least to my knowledge, I don't ever remember anybody mentioning Jordans in a song up until that point. And this is, again, 87. Jordan came into the league in 84. By this time, the Air Jordan shoe is a status symbol. If you have those Air Jordan shoes that I think probably cost about $75 at the time, which was a lot of money back then, you were saying something. And so you got to remember, Dougie Fresh, what were they talking about? Bally's. What was Run DMC talking about? Adidas. For LL to shout out Jordans, like you said, that's a status symbol.
Yeah.
And so he goes from his first album, and I'm glad you made the point about, not having a video. So if you didn't see him in Crush Groove, you don't know, you've heard these songs, but you don't know what he looks like. And he comes out with the first song, and that's I'm Bad, and there's a video for it. The song was released on June 13th, 1987. Go ahead.
Real quick.
No, go ahead.
And this is not a flex, but LL actually told me on Twitter, we talked on Twitter, that the reason why he didn't have a video for Radio on the Radio album is because they were going to do it, but he overslept. And he overslept, and Russell Simmons got mad at him and said, "All right, fuck it then. You're not going to do a video." and he didn't have a video. So that's really why. So,
and this is true, because I did see that tweet. I did see that.
Yeah.
You shared it with me. I did see that tweet. So no, it's not, you ain't flexing on everybody like that.
And the only thing that I can think of before, well, he rocked the Jordans on Radio, which came out in '84. After that, the only really mention of Jordan was they mentioned Jordan on Basketball by Curtis Blow. They said that he had all those points and he was cool. And Scorpio had that song "Go Michael Air Jordan," and I
remember that.
Yeah, Scorpio, that came out in '86.
Okay.
And the only reason why I remember why, I mean, I had it. I still have the song, but it was a 12-inch, and on the other side, back in the day when you did a 12-inch, you used to have a dub version of the song or an instrumental.
Facts.
And the instrumental on the B side was called Basket Beats. And that's I just remember that. It was, so anyway.
You, man.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Only the Encyclopedia Hip Hop will remember that. I tell you what, man, let's take a commercial break. And on the other side of the break, we will break down the songs from this album. I'm going to pick E's brain. And before we get off the podcast, E is going to score this album. He's going to tell us how many mics he give it in 2025 at the time of this recording. So sit tight. We'll be back in just a second. If you want a podcast where culture, conversation, and life collide, where you get insightful commentary, engaging discussions, and a fresh perspective on everything, then you need to listen to the 12 Kyle podcast. Hosted by the one and only, yours truly, 12 Kyle, a voice that you know and trust. This podcast will bring you thought-provoking moments, compelling stories, and a whole lot of fun. Whether you're a first-time listener or just tuning in, each episode promises to be something new and exciting. So sit back, relax, join 12 Kyle, myself, and my guests as we break down the world around us and give you stories that you've never heard before, from nostalgic throwbacks to everything in between. The 12 Kyle podcast is a front row seat to this conversation. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of the 12 Kyle podcast, where the vibe is always real and the discussion is always worth your time. And just like that, we are back. Once again, it's your boy 12 Kyle. This is the Rap Soul Podcast, and I got my man Eclectic in the building, and we are talking about Bigger and Deffer, the second studio album from James Todd Smith, aka LL Cool J. Both of us are big fans. One of us seems to call him the GOAT, but that's not me. But nonetheless, when you start talking about the albums in LL's discography, obviously there was no sophomore jinx here. So as I mentioned before the break, the album starts off with "I'm Bad." He also shot a video where Tasha gets kidnapped after.
Oh man, not Tasha.
After putting up some posters, he takes a walkie-talkie from somebody. He's got Cut Creator. He's got people. He's got girls dancing. It's a lot going on in the video. And I mentioned this on one episode before. I did not know that he said "motherfucker" in the song for a long time, because when
the car go by, the
car spins off. So talk to me, man. What did you think about "Bad"? I'm Bad.
Again, when it came out, I thought it was the greatest song ever. The SWAT sample, the Courageous Cat cartoon, it's ridiculous. The scratching, and then the video. I don't want to keep harping on the video, but the video, it was the first time you actually saw him get busy. And again, all right, listen. The song, he says, all right, in the 80s, the WAP was the pop. I think it's the greatest hip hop dance ever.
It is.
And because you can still do it right now. Everything WAP. Don't stop WAP until you break your arm. But just when you listen to the song, he said, "I'll make you say go LL and do the WAP." It's funny to me. He said, "I'm so dope. I'm gonna make you yell go LL and WAP it out."
And WAP it out.
I was like saying, "Nigga, I'll make you fucking scream my name and dance."
Pretty much.
And I mean, he had so many things that was air quote iconic. That my hat is like a Sharks fan. Was crazy. The forget Oreos, eat Cool J cookies. And I'm notorious. I crush you like a jelly bean. Chip, 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 chip.
Man, what? Listen. Oh. That song, I mean, like, it literally, it transported us. For me, it transported LL on another level of atmosphere of cool. And it was, I don't know about where you were in Ohio, man, but I just know my hometown of Florence, South Carolina, that became the #1 requested song on the radio every single day. Every day. People wanted to hear I'm Bad.
And I will tell you what else I love about the song and again and the video. But if you watch the video at the end, the guy is calling for the I think I'm gonna need backup. And if you look, he keeps knocking his arm. His hand. Little shit like that cracks me up. Yeah. And then he grabs the, give me that walkie-talkie. And when he ends the thing, I'm bad, you hear the walkie-talkie hang up. Little shit like that is so dope. I treat you like a stepchild, so tell mommy bye-bye. Never retire, put my mic on the shelf. The baddest rapper in the history of rappers. Yep. He been telling us he was been the GOAT forever.
He said it. He said it. I mean, listen, you're right. I would encourage each and every one of you, if you have not seen the video, when you finish listening to this episode, go watch the video for I'm Bad. It is still, like you said, and I guess it's because we recorded the video and we watched it over and over. So yeah, the whole thing with the pushing of the arm, I didn't pick that up until like maybe 4 or 5 times into watching it. But I love it, man. I think that's I think it's still a dope song, man. It's one of my favorites from LL. Track 2, LL talks about candy, but not the candy that you eat or the candy that you sniff. The Kanday. What do you think about Candy?
Look, if Bad wasn't on this album, Candy, just the way that it starts, and I'm going to tell you this. I don't know. I can't tell you what songs that they are right now, but there are multiple songs that came out in 2024 with like these new fuckity fuck rappers that use this rhyme scheme. They take this. And one of the things that I always said about LL and why he's what he is because he can have not different albums, different songs on the albums where he rhymes completely different.
This is true.
And it's still dope. Nobody else does that, by the way. He had that I'm Bad that just went off. This whole Candy song doesn't even sound like it doesn't rap the same way. It wasn't no yelling, no I'm the pinnacle. I met this new girl with big juicy lips and nice brown hips. I mean, again, this song, I love this song. I quote this song a lot. Yeah. One of my favorite things is man, oh man, damn, you can't and I can. Last time I saw with 6 man, I had to shake over his head. I was like, what up? He said, what up? I took your girl somewhere up. Got her walking around with a hole I filled up.
I love what he said when a mother knows me well, a father hates my guts. He don't know weird now. She's always feeling on my diggy nuts. Or snack cornflake crack.
Day after day, I try to break that.
I remember, and I'm not gonna mention her name, but I remember listening to this tape, and there was a young lady that I liked, and we were sitting outside at some point, and she heard that part. And she just looked over at me and her eyes got big. And I was like, yeah, he said that.
Right.
Yeah, your father knows you feeling on my niggy nuts.
This song is so dope. This is one of my favorite hip hop songs. And one of the reasons why is because I very seldom get hype. I'm not a hype person.
Mm-hmm.
But the hook, the I feel good, and then woo!
About Candy.
I just love that. She's clever in bed. She uses her head. She's the kind of girl that keeps a fat man well fed. Candy is incredible.
Yeah, man. This was one of those naughty songs, but I mean it was dope, man. And I remember like one of my homeboys, he called the radio station in our hometown and he said, like, can I hear Candy by LL? And it was like, nah, we can't play. And he was disappointed. He was like, man, why y'all can't play? He's like, man, it just got too much cussing in it. I was like,
there's no cursing in it.
I know, but it was just so much sexual innuendo. Like they couldn't, like they would have pulled a plug on it. But
meanwhile, now look what's.
I'd be like, you get WAP
Yeah.
on the radio all day. The next track 3, Get Down. Oh,
This is the one. This is the one. He starts it off. Get down to the rhythm that I rock the walls, court sporting Air Jordans, and I'm on the ball. So, said disappeared for a year and now I'm back, y'all. Listen. Disappeared for a year now I'm back, y'all. Then when somebody else comes and says, "Oh, it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left," you feel like, "Oh, he cried like the other guy."
I mean, hey, man,
the other guy had said it first.
I mean, but it's the God. It's the God.
But you know what? I mean, but people gonna give props to whoever they want to give props to.
It's
anyway,
the God.
I like this song.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is the third song
on
the album, and it's the third song where he doesn't rap the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still dope. He shouts out Haystacks Calhoun, everybody. That's a wrestler. Calling me a sucker boy. You're pushing a broom. Also says Pastor J in this. They spoke.
He did. Very subtly.
Little subtle shit.
Very
that's
subtle.
all here. And he shout out my man E Loved.
Mm-hmm.
E Love the E Love hat. So the E Love hat is the Godfather hat that the Run DMC but when E Love got it on, it's the E Love hat.
It's the E Love.
But no, I really like this song. And again, it's different. It's different from all of the other ones that just came on. And so what I really like about this album as a whole, and we'll talk about it in the wrap up, is you get so many different feelings and styles and all in one album instead of it's this guy. He sounds the same on every song. It could be just one long song.
Right.
And all the themes are the same. They're talking about shooting. They're talking about the drugs. They're talking about women. This is LL Cool J. He didn't talk about women on every. He might say something about them on every song, but there's only like 2 women songs on here, and the 2 women songs are completely different,
totally different.
So I really enjoy this joint.
Yeah, man, Get Down. Like you said, I think one of the things that makes this interesting about this particular album, particularly at this point in the album, is like you said, he doesn't sound the same. And what's interesting is that if you compare this album with the albums that hip hop had offered to us up until this point, you don't see the variety. You don't even see the variety like that as far as his sound on the first album, on the radio album. So for him to go in the studio and you got really, you're on your third song and none of the songs sound the same, or at least he's not rapping the same. He's giving you different flows. In today in 2025, that's commonplace. Like, so that it's something that's the norm. But the thing that we're trying to kind of convey to you guys is like, this was really, really different to do this in 1987 because everybody didn't sound like this, and everybody didn't have different styles and stuff like that.
And on top of that, even if it's quasi commonplace now to do a kind of different styles, the difference is now they'll give you a different cadence or a different type of flow, but they're talking about the exact same thing. What I feel, and I don't know James, but what I feel he does is he comes up with whatever he's going to rap about, whatever the concept is, and he tailors the flow to that. Like, I'm going to rap about this. So when we get to the next, I know a fat girl. She wears an orange skirt. That don't sound like nothing like, oh, right. Or I met this new girl. It's nothing like that.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it at all.
And it's about a hotel. The other one was about him being better than everybody. The other one's about this girl that he know. And the other one was just like, hell, let's party.
Right.
It's 4 different types of songs, 4 different flows, 4 different type of beats, but it's all cohesive by one person.
Very much so. Very much so cohesive. Like you mentioned, track 4, the Bristol Hotel, kind of like an early call and response, a funny joint. Like this is not, it's not a serious song, but he's still having fun, and it's quintessential LL. I think, shooting the shit, having a good time on a record. I really like the Bristol Hotel. Track 5, My Rhyme Ain't Done. Oh, what you got on this one, E?
Again, not like the 4 predecessors. Not to mention the fat girl in the orange skirt took food stamps, which is crazy.
I mean, hey, she needed it.
My rhyme ain't done. It's because the different kind of themes. The president woke it, he called the Pope. The Pope climbed to heaven on a golden rope. He asked the Lord to raise Michelangelo from the dead so he can make a fresh painting of my head. So he's doing stories. And the cool thing about it is at the end of the verse, he's like, yo, that story is over, but my rhyme ain't done.
My rhyme ain't done.
And then he starts another joint. So he's talking about suits and of cards, 52 cards, and then he goes to the center of the earth and met skeezers, right. and then he woke up in the world of cartoons where He-Man was gonna beat him up because he thought that they looked like Donald Duck. He hung out with Spider-Man. Charlie Brown started a band. Tom and Jerry was told Snoopy not to rap. Right. And then the last verse, he did some history stuff. He went to he met Sitting Bull, and they had a peace pipe, and he thought it was tobacco, and it was cess. And then he went to the Honeymooners, a TV show, kids, that came out in the 50s. But he the Honeymooners, and he was looking at Alice's butt, and I mean, totally different type of things. And all of it came down to him just rapping. Like, look, it's like when you're on the block and you're just rapping, he's like, and then I hung out with Tom and Jerry. He's just rapping, and somebody else is one to rap. He's like, yeah, but I'm not done yet.
No, I'm not done. That's one of the things that I love about this particular song, man, because like he gives you different verses and he gives you different flows, and it's still in good fun. But I mean, like, to me, I think this is where LL lyrically starts to separate it. Well, not just in this particular song, but this album where he's separating himself from his contemporaries. Totally.
And there's no hook. There's no chorus. It was just, I mean, the hook is that story is over, but my rhyme ain't done. He just keeps rapping. And then at the end, the story is over and the rhyme is done.
Which is a great way to end the song. Then the next track 6, 357, Break It On Down. This is, at the time, this is one of my favorites. One of my favorites on the album. What did you think about this one?
I thought this is probably the most, maybe the second most underrated song on the album. I want to say it is the most underrated because people don't mention this as much as what I would say. But the flow on this one, again, is not like anything else. But to rappers, I'm a nightmare. On Elm Street, hellified, hotter than heat. Guess why the others can't eat? This thing he started rapping. I'm dope on a
Rap.
rope. Virgins want to elope. I do the hustle when the shuffle and the rope a dope.
The rope.
The Muhammad Ali rope a dope.
The rope. Oh man, listen. I can't tell you guys enough how, for me, tracks 6, 7, and 8, like, just really, I mean, like, those are my three favorite. I ain't gonna say that, because there's no, well, there's one song on here I don't like, but we'll get to that. But even in that, I mean, like this, for me, I think this is where the album goes to the next level. Track 7, Goldcutt Creator Go. Now, I had one of my, shout out to my boy Sean. Sean thought this song was cheesy. I didn't think it was cheesy at all because, one, you get the guitar sample, you get the rock metal infusion, which is what Run DMC and those guys had done as well. But it's still a dope hip hop song, and he's shouting out his DJ. This is the proverbial "let me let my DJ get busy" song, and I mean, Creator cut it up, man. What you got on this one, E?
When this came out, this was my least favorite song.
Really, it was my favorite.
I thought that, to quote one of my favorite Tom and Jerry cartoons, I thought, "Boy, are you corny." I thought this was so. I didn't need the. I was like, I don't want this, but I liked it. I liked everything else. I liked the cut. I want to cut, and it was go cut. I loved everything else except for the guitar. The lyrics are dope.
Mm-hmm.
Dude said, "I hope and praying one day on the road I have a fila in the summer and the mig when it snowed." I was like, "Oh, this is no." I liked but if I had to pick a song, it was. I'm like, man, don't have that guitar, because this is, even though the whole album is full of different various all of this is definitely different than the first songs.
Yes.
But this is the one song that I feel did not fit the theme of the entire album.
Fair.
And so, but I still listen to it and still be like, yeah, go.
There you go.
So like I can't be like, nah, that's a skip. I'm like, nah.
See, you said all of that to say I'm still gonna play it.
But I thought it was corn, beef, hash.
Like, so my boy Sean swore up and down, like he's like, man, I ain't really feeling that, man. You like it. I was like, I think it's dope. I love the guitar. I love the Goldcutt Creator. I love the scratching. I like the fact that he gave Cut Creator a space for 3 minutes and 57 seconds to get busy. And I was cool with that. Track 8, the aforementioned The Breakthrough. I love this joint, man. What you got on The Breakthrough?
Now, this is what I was going to say is the most underrated song, because this song is unquestionably great.
Yes.
This is straight bars, rapping with a message, no break, no breath, no hook. This is his Microphone Fiend before Microphone Fiend came out, by the way.
I like that.
But don't you know you're just a worker and your boss is my man? LL this, LL that. As soon as I walk in a place, I want to take my gun and shoot you in your face. So, no, this song, I love this. This is the second song I think I learned word for word.
You had to.
Yeah, this song.
Okay. Real quick sidebar.
Go ahead.
When you learn the song word for word, how did you learn it? Did you learn it from playing the song over and over again? Did you write the lyrics down, or did you take it bar for bar, like learning it like that?
No, my boy he was the one that would write it down.
Yeah, I
never, because I didn't want extra work. I was bad enough I had to write shit at school. I'm not doing that. But no, I was the play it, rap it, and then when I couldn't rap it, stop it, figure what he said, then keep going. But this one, he was kind of like trying to help though. He's like, get busy, not dizzy, want to teach the young. The last man who didn't listen ended up getting hung. Not that I killed him. It's just he didn't want to trust the words of the master. That's why this dude, this song, this song, and this is another one where he told everybody that he was the GOAT. I don't know why people don't understand. Don't you ever mess with the king of the sound. Hello, Cool J, the baddest around.
Man, listen, I think I will agree with you on that. I think it was just bar for bar for bar. Man, and even when I knew we were going to do this episode, I went back a couple of days ago and listened to it, and it just literally took me back from. I mean, it took me from 2025 to 1987. It took me back to my bedroom, listening to this tape over and over and over again, man. But I'm like you, E. I'm a little different from you. I was a kid that I literally wrote the lyrics out. Like, so I wrote this whole tape out and I studied it, and and I mean, like, I would take my my boom box and I'd have it there and I'd have my headphones plugged up and I literally would just be like mumbling and rapping to myself. And then like my mom would come in, she's like, what are you in? And I'm like, I'm in here rapping. And so like, that's how I learned the song. And I did that for every song on this album until I learned and mastered, every song.
Man, the other thing about this, which again, people sleep. This is why he's the GOAT. He says it in this song. It goes man to man and jam to jam. I got hip hop, rock, and love song fans. Like, look, all you listen, he got bars. Like, I got fans in like 3 genres.
Yeah, he did say that.
Off my second album, and he did.
He did say that, and he was previewing the next song, which was the love song. It was the second single that was released from the album. The song is entitled I Need Love. It is a hip-hop ballad. It is a hip-hop classic. I mean, like it, love it, or hate it, that's what this song is. I will listen to this song just for nostalgia reasons, but I got tired of the song. But I don't hate the song. Like, even now, I will still listen to it. But when I tell you, this was the most requested song in my hometown on the radio every single day for like 6 straight months. It was and it was the dedication hour. People were dedicating songs. They were dedicating I Need Love because it was LL and it was a hip hop love ballad, man. What did you think about I Need Love?
I think a lot of things. I can understand why people will get tired because they played this song
to death.
This was, and again, it ain't like now. Where you can be like, all right, well, I'll just turn on my phone and I'll just listen to something. This was in every outlet, anything, if radio, TV, and even the press. But it's
shout out to the biz.
And the people that had the album was only playing this song. People bought the album just for this song. The second thing is, in a vacuum, that actual track is sick. The doom, that with the melody, that you could rap any kind of style over that beat, and it would be, that track is crazy. That is a Paul Revere style super dope track.
Right.
Third thing, tertiary, my favorite shit.
Okay.
That all these women paid no attention to. They were, he's so, and people listen to it. I was the only one laughing my ass off at this song because of what he said in the beginning. This went over everybody's head.
Playing with hearts, not saying no names.
No, close.
Okay.
Right around there. This went over everybody's head. This man said, playing make believe, pretending that I'm true, holding in my laugh as I say that I love you. I howled. I was like, that went over everybody's head. He said, holding in my laugh.
Right. Right.
I was like, he is an asshole. And everybody's like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, people not really, I mean, like, I want to say I was in, what, 8th grade when this song came out? So, nah, I heard it, but, you know,
I was howling.
Being in love.
And then my man said, inside my soul, because my soul is cold. One half of me deserves to be this way till I'm old. I was like, these people are listening to stuff just like, oh, he's so. I'm like, he's an asshole.
I mean, he was being honest, I guess. He was telling his truth. Tell your truth, King. This was. I mean, like I said, people love it, people hate it. The interesting thing about, and you kind of alluded to it, interesting thing about this album, and particularly where it's placed, because it's track 9, you got to remember, folks, we had tapes. Mm-hmm. So if you had the tape, you probably, even if you didn't like the song, you probably going to have to listen to it because you didn't want to have to fast forward to the next song. There was no CDs. There was no something where you could, just really press fast forward and get to it. I mean, you could try to fast forward through your tape, but most people would just kind of sit through it. Track 10 was the only song on this album that I did not particularly care for. And that's Let's Get It. What you got in that one?
The ladies love legend in leather, long and lean, and I don't wear pleather. Last of the red hot loving MCs, looking for a little. That's what. Nah. The only thing, there's only one part in this song that you can't. Listen, this was 87.
Right.
He had a theme. He was using all of the L's. He was giving us all of the L's. And it's just one thing he said in here that I even, like when I'm re-rapping the song, like, oh.
Uh-oh.
So, in the song, he say, I'm loose with the ladies, loud like a ref. When I die, there'll be no lovers left. And then the next word he said, I'm the little girl like her.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't catch that until like a couple of days. I was like, wait a minute.
Like,
he said that?
I get what he was doing. He was using the L's and himself.
But you can't say little girl like her.
You can't.
They'll get you out of the paint for that shit. Ass Puff.
Well, yeah. But it's like, I get what he's doing. He's like, L after L ever since the intro. I've been giving you all of the L's. And then when Kool Moe Dee tried to do it, they was like, oh, he got him. Like, he just copied what he did on the.
I mean, same thing.
I'm like, what? He didn't come up with anything.
Right.
But yeah, because he was like, because ladies know my bass is low, rocking L after L ever since the intro. Liberace couldn't rock it on the long-legged pro, 2 legs, not 4 like lousy. I don't eat Alpo.
Don't eat Alpo.
Come on. How do you not like Let's Get Ill?
You know what? I think it's the hook. I really think it's the hook for me.
Oh, nah.
Let's Get Ill. It just never stuck with me, man. It just never. And even going back to it, I listened to it, but I was just like, I see why I didn't like it.
Nah, I love that song.
Now the next song, man, is one of, man, listen, the Doo Wop. I love the Doo Wop, man. That when I tell you, like, one of the things, and we talked about it a little earlier, but I want to hammer home the point, like, there's so many different flows and there's so many different beats and styles that is on this album. People weren't mixing things up like this. I mean, even, and I'm not going to compare LL to Run DMC, but if you listen to Run DMC's second album, each song, while they're rapping about different, they're not changing a whole bunch of styles or anything. Like, it's pretty much, you got a template and they stick to the template. And there's no diss on Run DMC because Curtis Blow did the same thing. a lot of people at that time were doing the same thing. So for LL to come and on his second album really test this, which we really didn't hear a lot, I think says a lot about LL and the people that he worked with. But I love the Doo Wop. I mean, like that was one of my favorite. I think it's the perfect way to close the last full song on the album. What you got on the Doo Wop?
Here's the thing. um, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, all right, okay. So on the Encyclopedia Hip Hop podcast, I'm counting down the top 50 whatever story rhymes. This came in at, I want to say 3 or 4.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I wanted to put it higher, but I couldn't because of what else is on the list.
Facts.
I think that this is one of the greatest story rhymes in hip hop history. I think it is the second most complete hip hop stories ever made.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably the second best song on this album.
Okay.
I cannot say more good things about this song. He wakes up, goes through his whole day, and spoiler alert, it never happened.
Never happened.
I mean,
when you gonna let me taste your tongue? That got me.
No. What got me that I still laugh at now, ladies and gentlemen, he is talking about him waking up in the morning, getting ready for his day. This man said,
I know you're going.
I say, yeah, I was with it, hung up and got geared. Got a magnifying glass, then I brushed my beard. Because you know that man don't have no fucking facial hair.
Right. That flew over my head when I was younger.
He said, I got a magnifying
glass and I brushed my beard.
I remember hearing that, dying, because when this came out, I had nothing either.
Oh yeah, like I said, I was in 8th grade. I had no mustache, no nothing.
A magnifying glass. That joint, that and the illest pickup line that I heard. He said, "No need to rehearse." Then I made my approach. Said, "You got a good team, girl, but you need a new coach." I was like, "Yo, you got a good team,
but you need a new coach."
Yeah, oh man, this song is incredible.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And then the album ends with "On the Ill Tip," the skit.
Joke's on you. Another album.
We did it again. Take that.
That's my part. My man said, "Take that."
Oh man. This album, 45 minutes and 13. This doesn't feel like a 45-minute album, first and foremost. Let me be honest. It flows. It flows. I got back, and this happens a lot especially when I go back to music that I don't like frequent often. But man, this album, it felt good to go back and listen to this one, man. It just, like I said, it transported me back to my room and the boom box and just sitting there just listening, and my notebook, because again, this was one of the few albums I remember writing every single song, man. I had to have it. So
yeah, this was in my the Spotify rap. I listened to this. This is one of the top albums I listened to last year. It's not
Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, this is
wow.
Yeah, I listened to this album often. So
that's saying something.
It was in my top 5 albums listened to in 2024.
Now that's saying something. That lets you know that this man has not left this album.
No.
At all.
No, I haven't left this era.
Oh man. So before we get out of here, man, I gotta get your take, man. We talk about it from time to time. Everybody knows the Source magazine would rank albums and give them the mics. I'm pretty sure the Source either was not out just yet or they did not rank this album when it came out.
It wasn't a part of the regrade.
Okay. It may have been, but I think the regrades were so bad that I never really paid attention to them. Like, because I mean, the thing is, if you gave an album 4 mics when you originally scored it, and then you come back and say it's a 5 mic album, you're trying to sell magazines.
Oh,
I mean, the
how
source,
dare you, young
so you know
man.
the source is on some bullshit. I mean, like, bro, Lil Kim got a 5 mic album.
The Notorious K.I.M., the seminal hip hop classic.
I mean, Kanye
That
got a hip.
wasn't the Notorious K.I.M. and your Spotify Wrapped.
No, it was not.
It
Never.
wasn't? My bad.
Kanye got 5 mics, Bun B, and I love Bun B, but Trill was not a 5 mic. But I digress.
Yeah, please digress.
Stop it. Shout out to the great Bun B. So okay, so how many mics?
Do I
How
rip
many
on the
mic-
daily?
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. Pause. That is coming to a podcast near you. How many mics? That actually is a segue for a segment that I'm going to have. It's called How Many Mics. So yeah, how many mics are you giving Bigger and Deffer in 2025?
In 2025, I am on the fence. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence between 4.5 and 5.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you why. It's not because, oh man, I love this song and I listened to it all in 2024 and yada 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 yada, and I loved it back then. It's because on the Rap Soul podcast, you can do an episode about an album that is what, 25, 30 years old, and have the people still talk about it with such enthusiasm.
Facts.
And look at it, how different it is and how dope it still is, and compare it to what is available. So when it's kind of, let's say, on par with what's available,
Okay.
and it was superior to what came out in its time, would make it kind of timeless. And if it's that, it might have to be a classic, and a classic is 5 mics. I put a post on X, and I asked, can a classic album have any skips?
Yeah, I think you can.
And my whole life, I said no. And I said, if it does, it can only be one.
One.
And so, with all that being said, if I chose to skip Goldcutt Creator,
Okay.
or if you chose to skip Let's Get Ill, I mean, I'm going 5, man.
Okay.
I am of the opinion that James Todd Smith, LL Cool J, and the J is for Jeremy. If you know where that came from, you're a real one.
Right.
But I think he has 4 albums that could be considered classic and a possible.
Okay. 4 and a P.
If you ask me, he has 5, but I give haters their possible.
Haters. Okay.
So yeah, that's where I'm going. What do you say? 3? Because you like to be different.
Nah.
3 mics, 2.5.
Nah, this one is 4. I'm not gonna argue with anybody giving it a 4.5. I could move the needle at to a 4.5, but I'm for today I'm gonna stay at 5. I'm gonna stay at 4. But this album, the thing about this one is that like the way that it makes me feel, and I always say this about music, and for the listeners, like you can really appreciate music when you listen to it and it's dope and it's hitting and it's slamming or whatever the case may be, and you put it down and you don't touch it for a while. Now, E, you said it's on your Spotify for 2024.
Yeah.
So you obviously listened to it a lot last year. I did.
And that probably affected my rating because
But that's cool though.
I
That's
still
cool.
when I can still listen to it and go back to it, it must be super dope to me.
Exactly. And that's you just made my point. So for me to go back to it, even just leading up to this, man, it just really reminded me of how dope this album was. So even on a song like I Need Love, that like I said, got played at nauseum, it's still a dope song and it's a classic. Let's Get Ill. Again, if I had the tape, I'd listen to it. I wouldn't fast forward through it. I mean, like it is a really, really dope album. Maybe we should put a pin in, the discussion of who has the most classics, because that's something that we could discuss.
I would argue.
Yeah.
And I would say that he has 3 classic songs on this album.
Okay, I'm Bad, I Need Love, and what else?
Either
Okay.
Candy or the Doo Wop. I think more people like Candy though.
So when you say classic, you're talking about all time.
Listen, as I said, there's current songs for current artists who weren't alive when this came out that is using that flow from that specific song.
Right.
I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say.
You get no argument. I don't know that I would say. I mean, I Need Love is a classic, hands down.
Yeah. And Bad is a classic. Bad is a top 5 hip hop song all time for me.
For you, right? Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, like I said, even in that's a discussion, and I recently had actually. What episode was that? I did an episode on the Rap Soul podcast, and it was. I got to go back and find it, but it was, and it wasn't LL's fault. It was Rock the Bells who picked the song. So I can't knock LL for what was that? That's what it was. I did an episode called The Greatest Hip Hop Beats of All Time. And what happened was that Rock the Bells, the station or the website, came up with like the top hip hop beats of all time, and it said like "I'm Bad" was one of the top hip hop beats of all time. Now you said classic song. I don't think that you're going to say that it is one of the best beats of all time.
I put in the top. I wouldn't hate someone saying it's top 25.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it that high, but here's the thing, like, and you'd have to go back and for those of you listening who have not heard it, go and listen to that episode. I did that episode last year, or actually it was the end of December 30th. But yeah, it was just the list, and I felt like the list was really biased because they had 3 LL songs in the top hip hop beats of all time. And I'm like, nah, I don't think he's got 3 in the 3 of the all time beats, not the songs, the beats.
Of how many? Top how many?
I think it was 20. I want to say it was 20 hip hop beats.
Top 20, probably not.
Exactly. That was my point. And I think it was somebody trying to get some brownie points at the radio station.
Nah, I mean,
see, that's my point.
I mean, not
exactly.
No.
So, but like I said, if you say 5, I'm not arguing a 5 Mike album. There are a lot of people that feel, particularly in hip hop, who feel like this is a classic album, it's right there. I mean, Let's Get Ill is not a fan favorite of mine, but I mean everything else on this album can go and keep going. I mean, like this is a dope ass album. So yeah, there you have it. Bigger and Deffer album review. Man, before we get out of here, man, tell folks where they can find you, where they can find your podcast and all of that good stuff.
You can find me at the hotspot, iFox.
Hotspot, stop it.
You can't
Shout
find me there.
Foxy Brown.
I wish you could find me at the hotspot. Listen, go into your machines, your machines, and type eclectic, ECLECTIK. Put an ad in front of it, and all of them people are me. Eclectic Discussion Podcast, Encyclopedia Hip Hop Podcast. I'm on the Blue Sky. I'm on the all of the shits. Listen to the podcast, Instagram, a whole bunch of shits, or not. I don't care. But if you want to listen to some good shit and learn a couple of things and just laugh at my stupidity or reminisce about some good shit, hey, I'm here. It's free. You can binge it. A lot of the episodes are under half an hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. You can listen about 4 or 5 and a half an hour. I mean, listen, just come hang out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. He doesn't have a specific date when the podcast drops, but
yeah,
they don't disappoint. They don't disappoint at all. You guys been following me. You know where to find me. The Rap Soul Podcast every Monday. You can find this podcast wherever you find your podcasts. Like I'm all on social media. The Rap Soul Podcast, 12 Kyle, the 12 Kyle Podcast, all across social media: Twitter, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, TikTok, a little bit of everywhere. You can find this podcast wherever you're streaming from it right now. We're also on YouTube. Thank you for watching on YouTube if you're watching there. And if you want to donate money, if you want to hit us up and contribute financially, $TWELVEKYLE. And don't forget about the flagship podcast. It is called the 12 Kyle Podcast. That one drops every Thursday at midnight. And from time to time, we drop bonus episodes on Sundays at midnight. Me and this guy, man, we're back. We're activated. We're going to do more podcasts here on the Rap Soul Podcast. We've got a couple of drafts coming as well on his podcast. So tap in. We're not hard to find. And if you'd like to offer some opinions, we'll listen for like a half a second. So that's going to do it for us. So for my boy Eclectic, I am your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5,000.
Thank you for listening. This concludes the episode. Be sure to subscribe to the Rap Soul Podcast. You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the podcast on social media. And feel free to continue this discussion on our Reddit page. More importantly, share this podcast with a friend or family member who loves music as much as you do. Until next time, 5,000.